about Karis' champ pool, but also Taeyoon, right? We are not going to have his Varus or his Corki, which are two of his go-tos. I wonder if this would be an Ezreal ban from Ultra Prime. It would be pretty aggressive, but you don't have to worry about Gwen. They'll instead take away the Aurora. My question becomes, are WE, they're not going to slam Ezreal over a Skarner left up. So Monki going to get another pretty powerful jungler on the current patch here. You got a Fury game up against in the last matchup. Now he gets a Skarner game with their group fate on the line.
And this is going to be an interesting thing because we've talked so much about like how for Taeyoon in particular, there's no Corki, there's no Varus. But I look now for the side of Jung, particularly here in Split 2. There's no Gwen, there's no Rumble. Two of his most played champions by far. And kind of, for me anyway, really incentivizes needing to have strong AP solo laners, or maybe you're finding an AP answer from the jungle. Galio is an immediate pickup here.
Interesting.
Does make me a little bit worried, especially for someone like Saber, who we just saw have so much impact when he is the first one to be able to commit to a play instead of necessarily on the receiving end. So they're going to pair it up with the Viego, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, so Saber's still willing to play pretty supportive in this series, it seems, but it's always risky to blind Galio not knowing AP options. Luckily for him, Saber, with Karis' limited champion pool, is going to have Azir picked into him. Still not a fun matchup, but at least you get that AP check that you always want with the Galio. It is cool to see Ultra Prime after, kind of leaning into maybe another person being their main damage carry, right? We talked about Wako's Varus, the Zhang Rumble. Now they're giving Junhao, and maybe still Zhang, all the aggressiveness or eagerness.
I feel so sad. Jung has been kind of hyped up to be like this huge Riven player coming over from the LCP, and to not see him, to see him hover it here makes me sad. I wish he would have, this could have been an angle, right? There's an Mbessa. I was maybe thinking there's a Renekton, but I feel like with a Renekton, you're maybe a little too short range, so Camille definitely does give them that flexibility. So as we get into the second phase of bans, in terms of AD carries here, Ezreal still has to be really high priority. And on the opposite side, I feel like Team WE might have to be worried about things like that Ashe Braum that we had seen earlier. I feel when you have already a Skarner here, and now with the Azir, the Ashe and Braum combo in particular becomes very, very potent.
I wonder if that's the handshake here because of that Kalista ban. I wonder if this is going to be an Ashe for Wako locked in, and they're going to trade Taeyoon as Ezreal. I am fully convinced Taeyoon's locking in Ezreal, by the way. Like, the stakes of this game, knowing how much success damage-wise he's had on this character, they've already got a pretty potent front line to give him enough space. I think this is the biggest Ezreal angle of all of them. Oh.
Okay. Up to Taeyoon, though. Hands on his keyboard. We'll see what he
Ashe
picks
Braum
here.
is still up, right, if they want it, right?
Yeah, Team WE, I think, need a really robust front line if they want to be able to allow for the Azir and Ezreal to front hit. So things like Leona are going to gain a lot of value. Rakan in particular is also another champion that they can try to go for. Here from Ultra Prime, though, they can play in two different modes. They can try to go for the dive. I feel like they're more so going to be very receptive to allowing Ultra Prime to find access. I think when I'm looking at this game, I am really focusing on how Wako and Junhao are able to get into the backline and try to disrupt this Ezreal and Azir.
Okay, so they have the Ashe option up. They still always wanted Vampire's Braum, but I don't hate leaning into comfort, right? And they just get Taeyoon on his Ezreal. Still works very well. You still get the value out of the Braum. Please do not lock in Misfortune into a Skarner.
Please don't lock into Misfortune into
Skarner, Azir, Mbessa? Like, are we just going game 3? I mean, I hate to be that guy, but
Game 3 coming to your screens in about an hour and a half from now. Because this
Misfortune won't be in it because of Fearless.
Well, okay. So, in theory, this is a massive Wombo comp, right? You have circles upon circles upon circles
Hexagon.
upon a weird like pyramid vague shape.
I said I sucked at geometry already. I already said I sucked at geometry.
Yeah, I was gonna let you hold that one, but here for Ultra Prime, you have so many ways of being able to have a very easy to execute team fight composition, but when you look on the opposite side, Braum gets so much additional value, not only in the laning phase, but you think of being able to block this Misfortune. You have additional range with this Ezreal Azir. I think that the front line is good enough. You also have enough disruption, not only from the Braum, but also having this Mbessa who can just dive straight into the back line. I feel like unless there are massive throws, unless there is a, we saw how chaotic the first 15 minutes of that last game was. If that's going to be the case, then sure, Ultra Prime can play, but I feel like it gets very dicey as the game goes on, and it is so much easier to win with on Team WE's side.
I'm with you. I think the bottom lane is going to be kind of moot with the fact that both these supports are like Braum, Alistar into each other is kind of just double denial. We'll see how much use Wako is going to get out of the fact that Misfortune just perma-plays in the wave into an Ezreal. The kryptonite of any Ezreal player is not being able to Q your opponent, and the double taps are going to be pretty potent. I emphasize all this because I think if Wako's going to find that success, you talked about the setup, but you also need to find a bit of a lead on this Misfortune to get the most value out of it as quickly as possible. But to remind the stakes for everybody at home, Ultra Prime find this win. They are in Group Ascend. They qualify themselves for Split 3. WE need to find back-to-back wins for that same reality. If Ultra Prime win, it is Group Nirvana and a potential early exit to the LPL looming over WE. So let's see what they've got with the most pressure on them all year long so far in the LPL.
I just can't believe there's a format in competitive League of Legends, specifically in the highest leagues in the world, that you're just done halfway through the year. That is an insane format to have.
Vicious.
And
vicious.
Yeah, for sure. So, going to be interesting to kind of watch as Team WE have to string together 2 wins back-to-back if they want to kind of keep their hopes alive. And going to kind of be watching how this Ultra Prime bottom lane does work, because while Wako and Saucia are a fairly new duo, some of the criticisms we have had about Wako is some of the decision-making that he makes throughout a game, and Saucia has been able to be punished. Also, you're playing Alistar level 1. Like, you're just going to get McGowned all day long.
Especially into a Braum. You're just asking to get stunned. So,
yep.
Surrender the wave. Both junglers going to be starting on their top sides clearing down. So we'll see if Junhao will... Well, actually, Junhao is looking to do nothing with the bottom lane. He is looking to invade onto Monki. Wow, this is a call, and he's gonna smite away the Gromp.
He got it.
Monki, you really thought that he had no intention to believe that Viego would show up and smite your Gromp. That's gotta be top 5 most tilting things for jungler players. Jungler players in chat, let us know.
Oh, wait, super genius. I know we were talking about bottom lane, and the focus obviously from our observers was showing that, but Junhao actually flashed over the Herald pit, the Baron pit here, so he wouldn't get spotted on the ward. Really intelligent stuff. We get the picture, yeah. Oh my god, he gets there just in time. That's literally split second. The time in which it took him to be able to flash over and to be able to walk around that entire wall would have been the difference between him showing up late and him even stealing it. So now he's set back on his camps for the side of Monki. He's going to finish his camps and even try to cross into the river and realize that Junhao is now a full camp up. And I mean, I don't know how much it's going to change, but specifically for Junhao, it's going to make him potentially hit level 4 just that much sooner. It's going to hit him like potentially a camp sooner than he expects.
Well, I like this from Monki. He knows that his bottom lane has Giga Prio right now. Bringing a wave in, mid lane is also the same, so he's looking for a gank angle. Going to spot out Junhao on his blue buff, and Revenge of the Skarner. Yeah, Revenge of the Skarner's inbound with no smites.
Walking.
We'll see who gets it first. There was the
He
smite.
got it again!
Completely boop, but Junhao does grab the blue buff. Xiaosha's here first, but Karis and Vampire swing over just at the same time. Still another mental warfare win for Junhao in the jungle.
He has now won 2 smite battles, and where there's no dragon. We're literally before 4 minutes, and Junhao's already outsmited Monki twice, so he's a full level up over his opponent. Still has Krugs that he can take. He'll know the respawn timer of the Gromp as well on the opposite side. So for right now, Ultra Prime are working with a lot of information specifically from the jungle. And we're talking about some of these lanes. Azir, Ezreal are going to be nice in the laning phase to deal with. We'll see if Ultra Prime can get anything done on the top side here.
This guy's a demon. Now he's just claiming flashes too. Smite fights, flashes, still up in camps. What is Junhao not doing in this early game?
For right now, losing. We'll see how that looks. We did say that we were going to have some problems with the Schemo's opposition, but this is kind of the style that we needed to see from Ultra Prime. Play aggressive, play in their face, disorient the opponent as well. Maybe get a little bit of some discombobulation there if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan. So,
good job.
Ultra Prime, we're going to see how many camps Junhao can kind of steal and get away and sneak under from Monki here.
That is
I got a very angry glare from Kai for that one. I'm sorry.
That is the hot topic item for now, but the tides will shift soon with that first set of grubs coming up in just about a minute. An Ocean Dragon spawning on the bot side of the river. Do like to see the patience from, like you talked about, some of these fresher faces to the LPL solo lanes for Ultra Prime right now, recognizing that, you know, Zhang and Saber, they can afford to play slow here, knowing their jungler is winning these small advantages because of how much their comp hinges on these wombos. So they don't need to get leads in those solo lanes. Maybe the Camille would like it, yes, but it's important playing for the bigger goal that'll come up once these teams are able to start coagulating together more.
Yeah. So probably not going to see anything for the time being, as both bottom lanes did decide to continue fighting here down in the bottom lane. Junhao has cleared so many camps, literally did 11 of his camps. Recalls gets a tunneler, so nice amount of HP that he's going to have as well. Thing for me that I'm looking at is if we walk up towards these grubs, it's going to be a level 6 Viego. And that is, in my opinion, such a massive game changer. As we look at Monki now, only just now cresting level 5. He's going to soak some experience from his mid laner. And maybe now, Cube doesn't have the flash, but does have this public execution to be able to get around some of the crowd control.
Oh, but the Hextech Ultimatum for Zhang is just going to come down, right? They're sectioning Cube off here. There's the public execution, but he is trapped in the geometry we talked about from draft. Can Junhao find the kill, though? That's a big-time slam for Monki, but the flash commit comes across. Junhao has first blood as he's looking to take over this game and send his squad to Group Ascent.
But you knew that he started on the top side because obviously he went and invaded on you. So for Monki to put so much emphasis on this top side play, you knew that your top lane does not have any summoner spells. Feel like a bit of a risky maneuver, and it ends up being that Team W actually come out on top with this trade while they give over the first blood. Doesn't really matter, obviously, now with the change of feats of strength. They'll still grab two grubs here on the trade.
Good point to make, but it is obviously pivotal in any Viego comp to get some gold on to said Viego. So kind of a handshake of a trade, right? The grubs over here for a bit of extra gold on this Viego, because Junhao will likely be the first person to that initial item at the pace he's currently at here. We'll see if he is able to swing down for that dragon trade as we get a replay on that well set up pick from Zhang.
Why do we need to say well set up? It's just him missing the hook shot. I don't know why
he got close enough for the ult.
He did it for the kid, I guess. Feel like we may have overshot the trigger here. You know, pulled it a little too soon with the Galio ultimate, but I understand wanting to make sure that we guarantee grabbing ourselves that kill and that punish onto Cube. First item here for our two top laners is going to be so important, as I think it is kind of game warping. Mbessa gets so dangerous when she has access to the Eclipse, and similarly said for someone like Camille once they have access to Trinity Force. A dive going to be on the cards here, but I mean, yeah, Jung still has flash, is able to hook shot out. So how many plates can we see from Team WE? How much gold can we get Cube under these circumstances? And it's going to be a dragon going over to Junhao.
Yeah, that's the cross map, right? Is that Wako and Xiaoxia have the cover of their jungler, who is spotted taking this dragon, but it will be the trade here for what looks to be about 2 plates, as Zhang is going to have to walk and hookshot himself back towards this lane. So we're going to fall into a bit of a lull here, with it still being hard for both these teams to create a lot of action on their own without the help of Skarner or Viego.
So there are a few things in this game every couple of patches when they start adding some fun stuff. Oh, Wako gets hit. Nice cleanse. Captain Jack cleanse Wako. Damn. Okay. Whew. The thing I wanted to nerd out about, Symbiotic Souls here for Saber. I think that these are, by and far away, the most OP boots probably in the game. There's a reason why they're getting nerfed this patch, this next upcoming patch. Any champion that has a bunch of movement abilities contributes to the distance required for it to upgrade. And I think just the ability to, especially as Saber here, just say, look, you're as Azir, you're probably gonna have the range over me. I'm not gonna be able to wave clear as fast as you. I'm gonna take a bunch of damage, be able to very quickly recall thanks to having access to the empowered recall on the boots, and then I'll just come back to lane incredibly fast because I basically have mobility boots on steroids. So I love this as a pick, as a potential option here. He's already gonna be tanky with the Aegis on his W, so I like this. I like this piece of tech, and we'll see how much use Saber is able to get out of it.
I'm still enjoying so much. Okay, Monki, that is. Are we really using?
This is reminding me of Monki Skarner from the tiebreakers. This is the Monki that somehow won versus EDG. I'm still mad about that. I'm still pissed.
Well, now he's trying to fight Junhao without his Impale in a 1v1, and that's no for Xiaoxia. Hero's Entrance comes across, and Monki goes from whiffing ultimate to getting absolutely caught as the second kill rings through for Ultra Prime.
And guess what? There are some camps for us to take. Maybe even go for a dive. Yeah, you have Xiaoxia here. No summoner spells on this Alistar. Bro, we don't.
He's got ult.
Just show it to us.
Oh! Okay, they sidestep the public execution and get Cube to flash.
Yeah.
So, still a win.
Okay, how much damage can Jung get out of this? And we still have the grub spawning in 12. Don't think there's going to be much of a timer here for Ultra Prime. However, have spent a lot of it already here. Jung walking forward. He's like, nah, I'm just taking this kit. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know about this because you knew the grubs were coming up. You knew Cube was going to teleport back to lane. He's able to hookshot himself out to safety, but you called it out, Monki.
Give it a teleport.
Yeah. But, I mean, for 3 grubs, right? For 5 grubs, it's a pretty big win here for WE.
Yeah, 3 grubs here already coming in. Oh, Taeyoon does have to use the barrier, so small trade here. They're getting pushed out. Jung with the TP behind.
Monki is, once again, 1 versus many and will fall. That is feats of warfare. And he only gets 1 of the grubs, so there's 0 mites for WE. I spoke too soon.
Yeah, they make the trade. They make the 3v3, and unfortunately for WE's jungler, his solo lanes had not been able to move on forward. Karis was hitting on the mid wave. He was pushing on the turret. We saw that Cube could have been able to make the shuffle, but it doesn't seem like all of WE were quite on the same page. I want to take a look at this again. Yeah, Vampire separates here. They have no idea. This ward should be getting pinged out. I feel like it's on the very edge of vision if it's not, but you can still see the teleport coming anyway. And look at where solo lanes are. In theory, this should be a perfect play. You have priority, but no one from WE is actually helping him here. So, rare instance where I think Monki kind of let down by his team there.
Yeah, I'm with you, because we preached it from the minute we got into draft that we thought this Mbessa into the Camille would have some prio, and we definitely believed Karis as Azir would be able to shove waves down Saber's gullet. So, Monki making the plays that is trying to cash the checks that his solo laners cannot clear at this point, and once again, gotta give credit over to Ultra Prime, especially those solo lanes. I didn't miss it. Because they're playing with...
It's okay, you didn't. Saber did, dog.
True. But Saber playing with his squad well. This is... We kind of heard it talked about with WE after their win over LGD, right? A new bar for them, potentially. I think now Ultra Prime, especially this top side, is kind of raising the UP bar for the future.
Oh, for sure. And really exciting stuff, as this was a team that, ended 4th in Split 1. They weren't able to get very many wins. And then similarly here, barely being able to squeak into seed number 3. It was a tough bout. I've been a huge Ultra Prime doubter, and maybe they might have to be the team that I'm looking out for, and fans at home are looking out for, kind of to finally be able to rally around, potentially as, some, I guess, underdogs potentially here.
Without a doubt. Looking, though, forward to what's coming on the Rift here. We do see checking in on items. Team WE are getting pretty big spikes. You get the Eclipse done like you talked about for this Mbessa. The Trinity Force is completed for Taeyoon. Not the biggest Israel item spike, but still a very expensive item to get done. We're still waiting on
the way, though.
Trying to create.
They're just giving up the dragon, though.
Yeah,
this play has to go really well, and even Wako can transition. Sitting in Fog of War, Monki hasn't quite spotted out Alistar here, so they are really trying to overload onto this play. Wako does show.
Yeah, but this is, remember, we're not diving like a marksman or a mage. This is a tanky Galio and Alistar with Unbreakable Will. I don't think you can even call for this. It's almost damn near suicide. And now the wave's gone. W, they're just stranded on this top side. What are they going to get? Some Krugs? Yeah, some Krugs.
And now, what is Junhao? I don't know if it's going to be all the Krugs. Okay, so he actually smites it this time. Okay. They're trying to get out of this play. That is I think, the value of this Alistar. I think what WE are just trying to do is overload, similar to what we saw in that last game, is put a bunch of members on one side of the map, push for that first turret, and then recall and look for an objective fight here.
Oh.
Ultra Prime are making their way on the bounce back, though.
Junhao has called that they have overstayed their welcome, but not willing to go in head first. Good call on that. Viego need that setup, but boy, are both these teams bloodthirsty in this top side. Nothing.
I get the idea of these plays. I feel like it is at a big disadvantage to Monki, who is already falling behind.
Oh, Vampire,
Oh, no.
he's done it again. The impale comes across, but the taunt is so well timed by Saber that nobody moves. Vampire trying to get a bunch of value on the shield. That's a huge Shuriken shovel from Karis. Down goes Junhao. Where's the rest of the damage now for Ultra Prime? It's got to be Zhang, but he teleports in late. And despite the potential catch onto Vampire, it's Karis making the difference. And now they're pushing for Zhang into the turret. Public Shusha comes down. Turret drops down as well. Hextech ultimatum thrown as everybody's trying to trade kills for kills, blows for blows. But it's Zhang that is coming out as the victor until Cube starts getting those dashes flying and picking up the kills. It's going to be a very, very murky trade at the end of the day, but the bullet time may separate it. Huge shield from Monki. Wako can't finish his dinner, and now Xiaosha will end up falling. Very, very thin margins, but it's Team WE finding an avenue.
Vampire living there makes or breaks the fight, and Ultra Prime, I think, get a little too, caught up in some of the days that WE are trying to put them under. I am just so confused. I get the idea here, and Vampire being able to survive for so long, the Impale buying time, Xiaosha even using the Unstoppable Will to try to get out of that, but the fact that they're not able to get the reset allows for Karis to find a massive sweep here on the Azir, and this is just a numbers advantage. Just leave them. I don't even know why Wonjong is sitting under the turret. I feel like this should be an everybody in all points bulletin. Let's all walk together. But an extended play turns into a pretty big win, so they grab the turret. They're going to grab multiple summoner spells, including teleports here from the side of Ultra Prime. And what I was saying beforehand is that Monki really needed this play to work for him because he's already 30 down on his opponent. And look at the minimap right now. I know we're seeing this kill right now, but there are almost all of his camps up right now. As I'm not even play jungle, I would be like, guys, we have to farm some of these, please.
Whoa, we're back and live, and we are brawling once again. Everybody's layered on top of each other. Vampire's Braum shield does go down here. Wako holding on to that bullet time, knowing he has no avenue to really go for it. Instead, he's taking shots after shots, and it's another Emperor's Divide from Karis to set Taeyoon up for his first kill. Xiaosha gonna fall. Wako gonna go next as he can't flash out of the grub wall. WE cutting down this Wombo combo, and they're even winning on the sides here with Cube nearly finding himself a solo over Zhang. He's got flash. I think he might hunt for it, and I speak too soon once more, but it's WE finding avenues again. They are back in front in the biggest game of their season so far.
I think Junhao might actually be playing I think Rafa might be playing on his account right now because he's just seeing Vampire and he's like, I gotta have this guy. I gotta have him right now. And every single time it is just not working. This Braum should not be a main target right now. We are trying to focus down this jungle. And this starts off with some good CC going down onto Monki, but this Braum, we said from draft, was going to have so much value coming into this. And look at how much damage that he is blocking, how much utility. And I think, honestly, Ultra Prime getting a little bit lost in the sauce, trying to burst down. Just wait for some of these team fights, man. You're giving openings for W to get back into this game.
Yeah, they're just a team comp that cannot afford to fight without a misfortune. They're so hotly designed around the burst of this ultimate, setting up for those resets. Like, you are not going to get these any of these possessions for the Viego with a Galio and a Camille, maybe. But it's so much Wako center. We talked about that from the draft until we see a valuable bullet time, which we haven't gotten this game. It's really WE's playground to hold supremacy over.
Beautiful.
They're starting to get even bigger ultimates off the table with Dragon up. That Xiaosha's Unbreakable Will down, and that should stop the soul stacking for Ultra Prime, which was beginning to become a burgeoning win con.
Yeah, WE, by placing so much focus on some of the side lanes, they've unfortunately neglected some of these larger objectives, finally grabbing themselves their first dragon. Looking at Junhao, I would love for him to have started this Rift Herald, but because he doesn't have mid priority, it is a bit tough. And we're already seeing WE are actually moving members over. They're neglecting a large portion of farm in some of their lanes just so that they can fight immediately here, or at least pretend like they're going to start muscling in and reinforcing sides of the map. So bit strange here. It does mean that WE are at a 2,000 gold advantage, but you look at it, it is almost entirely Taeyoon. Again, a big portion of so many of their wins in prior series, and we'll have to see that again on his kind of make or break pick into the Ezreal.
And he's cleared the first major milestone hurdle, right? Mormon is done with the Triforce. This is the first huge uptick in damage. I know Cubby was talking about how much he loves the Shojin Spike, which is like kind of completing the trifecta. But this is where, just from raw damage numbers, the Ezreal can really start pouring in punishment. So we'll see if Taeyoon, like you called out, can get it done on his premier champion. With Otacon spawning, we get another Ruinous Otacon on this top side with two split-pushing top laners, and neither of them want to split-push. They are pulling up to this top river. Yeah. This Rift Herald already going down pretty low. There's a Glacial Fissure used. Xiaosha does pop the Unbreakable Will. Impale gonna whiff from Monki, though. Xiaosha does flash out of it. Zhang trying to set up a pretty big flank, but it's WE controlling tempo back and turning their attention back towards Rift Herald.
They're looking for Zhang to fly in. They have Saber kind of sitting around. It's a lot of damage onto Xiaosha, so they're going to be down their support's HP bar. I feel like we should just be giving this up. I don't think this is an objective we're going to be seeing from Ultra Prime Contest all that much. It is going to be the Rift Herald falling. Most likely what's going to happen here is Ultra Prime, since they do have two items on so many of their carries, in particular not only the Ezreal,
Wako!
Oh, they find the pick! Wako!
Vampire picks him off. Wako's though able to walk back and get a huge bullet time. Knockup comes across on the hero's entrance, but where are the kills? Where are the resets for Junhao? There goes Cube, but the reset can't come across for Junhao because he didn't assist on the kill, so it falls completely flat, and it's Taeyoon that picks up another double kill to go 4-0 on his premier Ezreal.
Ultra Prime just don't have the damage of Zhang as well. Going back in there, we'll probably take a look at it in the replay. Some minor errors, and this lead, this has got to feel so vindicating for Monki. He's like, you focused me in the early game. You won 2 smites. You were able to kind of get into my head, and you ended up winning a lot of them, but it does not matter. We keep our cool, and we said as this game goes on, we favor Team WE's chances here. This slow onto Wako, just literally make or break from Fog, finds that answer. Wako living for as long as he does is great, but I think for me, the big answer here is kind of how split this fight is. And again, Xiaosha being so low at the beginning of this really harms them. If this was a much healthier Alistar, I think maybe there's a chance for them to play, but we were talking about this before. Look at the items coming in for them. Karis already finished with the Nashor's Tooth and Leandri, so we're getting to that point in the game where WE's carries are becoming more and more untenable to deal with.
And they have so much space afforded to them because they've got a Braum Skarner just perma-protecting, right? It's such an easy Skarner game for Monki by this point because instead of being proactive with these ults and these flank angles, you can kind of in a lot of ways default into just playing full-on protect for Taeyoon and Karis. So the job really gets easier for WE, and this is the fear we had from draft for Ultra Prime. We have yet to really click with that Wombo that now is really short in the damage department.
Right, starting up the Otacon here, and Bessa and Camille no longer around, but Zhang does have the teleport available to them. Seems like Ultra Prime, are they going to try and force after this objective is gone? They've had vision on this the entire time.
Are we really just going to try and flip this? Great Glacial Fissure for Vampire. Junhao can't get close enough. He tries to Heartbreak and steal it, but instead he's impaled and cut down. Great spacing from Team W, and now they can start running rampant. No Viego to worry about, no resets to deal with. It's Ultra Prime finding nothing. WE, they want that do-or-die third-place match to decide between Group Ascend and Group Nirvana.
It'll come down to that. Again, best of 3 here. After this, with WE winning this game, they'll put themselves in contention for a spot in Group Ascend. Biggest change in between the two of them, if you're able to get in that Group Ascend, you will be able to at least stay around until Split 3 of the LPL. Going down to that group Nirvana, you have so few games to be able to prove yourself and hold your might as potentially being eliminated from the LPL in June. So W playing with, again, we talked about it, backs against the wall. And while Ultra Prime have had a lot of house money to play with this game, they're just running out of funds fast. And now we're looking at some of those items. The carries are so far ahead here for Team WE. Every objective just melts when you have an Azir and an Ezreal this far ahead.
Oh
7 HP! Oh my god.
Mystic shot for the win. Taeyoon grabs it. But this
I thought Ezreal was weak.
I mean, hey, he is weak. 7 HP? He only does 7 damage to Otacon? That's weak, man. I don't know what else we're talking about. Wako maybe getting picked off is what we're talking about. Impale available. Flash up for Wako, but there's no point burning it there. Another kill over to Taeyoon as he goes dominating on his Ezreal.
Yeah, Wako recognizing if he flashes, there's probably going to be a response here. Now Ultra Prime got to scatter to the winds immediately. Junhao's on their side of the map right now. Wait, we're TPing? We're trying to find Junhao? There's no minion wave. They're going to pull a Baron. Again, this Azir is so far ahead at this moment. Is this going to be where we see Ultra Prime stake their claim back into this game? Vampire doing a fantastic job putting down vision, trying to spot the Viego, and they're going to finally see him here.
Zhang first as well. Baron picked up. They still have Racious Outcome for another 20 seconds, so why not just go for the belly-bursting fight here? Stuns galore from the Braum Fishers. No heroes entrance or exit for Saber. A clean response from Team WE, who continue to try and build off the momentum they had from their 2-0 sweep of LGD.
8,000 gold now. Baron in their back pockets. We have to assume this can be the end. There is an ultimate available for Wako, so at least one of these minion waves has the possibility of being deleted. But, I mean, they still have the Azir Shuffle. I imagine this is not going to be going on for much longer.
Feels like a formality fight is coming. There's the bullet time. There is Vampire's Shield eating up every single ounce of it. And it's going to be Team WE taking a commanding Game 2 win. With so much of the season on the line, we are going the distance for Team WE and Ultra Prime to decide our group implications.
Beautiful stuff. And what a tough early game. We said that from the start, 15 minutes in, Ultra Prime really need to be able to make sure that they're discombobulating their opponents and making it very difficult for them to find their way around the map. But so many fights lost, man, in a row, and such weird kind of entrances. We never really got to see the proper setup for the Camille, and
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, Junhao, despite the early game, made a lot of really critical errors. We did not get to see him link up with this Galio in any meaningful way.
No, and we got zero value out of Wako's MF that just kind of side farmed on the weak side the entire time, and then pulled up to fights and was like, hey guys, when do I get to click ult? And they're like, do you see the enemy comp? And he's like, yeah, and you got what you got out there. So that's what happens when you pick MF into Skarner, Azir, Braum, and in Abessa.
The Braum just like I feel like we get like further and further from God's light when I have to see Misfortune R5, not only into Braum, but then like you were saying, Azir, you're having to deal with Ezreal in the laning phase, which is not always going to be super pleasurable, especially with the support matchup being so influential. So very tough game. I know very early on we said we're going to Game 3 in about an hour and a half. I was maybe a little bit wrong with how quick that game was, 26 minutes. But this was the Ultra Prime that we kind of saw earlier in the split. Not all working. Yep. Saber being a bit missing from some of these games, and Jong trying to make plays. Same with like Wako on the AD carry position, but not like ships in the night, honestly.
Yeah, I think they've just in some of those games as well, right? They've kind of handicapped themselves from draft with these interesting picks, especially in the marksman role. I'll keep bringing it up, right? That like we saw Mel AP carry in this this first split too, and it was an absolute travesty. There are the damage charts. Taeyoon, Karis, Cube, all the damage that are showing up pretty big here, and leading to the MVP discussion. I feel like we're going back-to-back mid lane MVPs. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I could say that. I low-key would not be opposed as like a very spiteful pick. Just give it to Monki.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, my logic is just thinking like that those first really game opening fights.
Actual impact on the game, probably Karis still.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
Karis on the Azir.
I just saw, by the way, that's Taeyoon on Ezreal with less than 30% damage share, and it's a win. So, interesting. Just refuting those former stats, the lovely graphic.
Oh, nice. Nice. I didn't make the graphic, okay? I didn't even call for the graphic. So, you're the guy.
If this champion was, this champion was
Mickey, do the thing.
aptly
Pull the graphic.
If this champion
Not the
was
Taeyoon
aptly
graphic.
created, then he would have done more than 30% damage share because Ezreal's weak, right?
Mickey, can we please get the Slayer graphic on the screen for us, please?
Wait, are you talking about this is hilarious, by the way. Which Slayer graphic are you referring to?
Well, it's not going to be the Thunder Talk one.
Yeah, I was like, I hope we're not calling for the Thunder Talk one.
Nope.
That'd be out of left field.
Nope.
But this was the
fight. You're
fight.
trying to refute Ezreal. Anyway, you were saying this is the fight where we get to see them turn the game.
Right. Yes. This was it. Right. And I think from here on out was Ultra Prime kind of just panicking on every other decision they had to make after this kind of blew up in their face.
Something that we saw from Xiaoxia when they first joined this team in some of their series for the best of ones was that kind of going a little bit too far up, taking too much damage. That was actually something that we saw throughout the game this time around. This Alistar, while mechanically I think there were some really, really creative plays coming out from him, as a tank, you need to know when you're allowed to take damage and when you're just, kind of walking back, walking with your team. Really good dodge coming out from Karis there. I missed that on the first time around. But, again, it just feels like I feel for every Ultra Prime player, we have something that we want them to be working on. For Wako, it's maybe don't hover your mouse over the misfortune pick. Not necessarily his fault. This champion is... We have just been seeing it for, it's very strong in lane, but it is so hard to execute, and a lot of misfortune players, a lot of the time, are they're like, I'm looking for the perfect MF ultimate. That is almost never going to appear for you in a lot of cases, especially with how much mobility is in the game now.
Yeah, misfortune is the biggest bait pick in the marksman role. I really feel like it at this point, especially on a competitive level, and a competitive level as high as the LPL. And at this point, right, as we talked about game one where Team WE, had a lot of mistakes in that loss to give Ultra Prime such a big window. Now we see Ultra Prime make the same thing. It's important to remember for everybody at home, right? These two squads are still very much so a work in progress. We are looking for both these teams that have rosters of, young stars to just to show consistency so they can build around them as a team. But it is far from a product that is anything but consistent for either of these teams, which kind of hypes up what Game 3 could be if both these teams can kind of come to play a cleaner game of League of Legends. That's what I'm hoping for Game 3. Because
for sure. You could go finish and then...
Because I'm afraid that we're not going to get that, is what I'm trying to say.
I think that that's okay. I think for what it's worth, these two teams did not play a ton of games at the beginning of the season, right? They took a very early exit. They played their 3 best-of-5s in Split 1 and said, cool, we're waiting till Split 2 anyway. And coming in, they had to play a bunch of best-of-1s. I think they're still finding their form. It's going to be Taeyoon. I mean, I get it. He played Ezreal. He was pretty bulletproof for the most part. We saw their laning phase, how strong that was. Maybe not, showing off in terms of the impact on the game. I feel like the game kind of happened around him. But either way, congratulations to Taeyoon.
Congratulations to Taeyoon for grabbing a player of the game on a very, very weak champion. All right, I'm done. That's enough. We don't have to see Ezreal anymore, right? So you won't have to hear these silly rants. Congratulations to Taeyoon, who grabs that one. All of the Ezreal and the rest of the champions you're seeing on your screen now will be fearless out. But here are the stakes, folks, to give it to you before we throw you all to intermission. Game 3 draft coming up. Ultra Prime will have side selection, but both teams are playing for one of two realities. The happier one, getting to Group Ascend, confirming a spot in Split 3. The darker, less traveled path is Group Nirvana and potentially an early end to your LPL calendar. All of that will be decided as we fill out the rest of Group Ascend and Group Nirvana with Game 3 Ultra Prime.